Yes. This is the first live ever. And well, we'll see how it goes, but let's crack to it. So basically, today we're discussing the topic of am I enough? That's the silent question that all the guys are asking. And I'm trying to figure out how to run this on live and how to basically then share this question and answers to everyone here in the group so everyone else can see that as well. So we're gonna try to do an interactive where we can drop some things in the chat as well. But the question remains, am I enough? And most of us, we may identify that we have been asking this question to ourselves. Am I enough at my work, relationships, in my business, in my finances? Am I not failing? If you can identify, then you have, if you can identify yourself asking this question sometimes, then you have came to the right place. So here I have prepared some presentation and some notes for myself. But one thing is for sure, women are respecting men who respect themselves. Yeah. But it all starts with us respecting ourselves first. But that means we have to figure it out. And that's why we are here. So well done for showing up. And identity simply starts with a belief. It's a simple belief about what we believe who we are. That is a belief, is certainty about who we are, what we are about, and where we're heading to. And especially now, in this day and age, in this men's group, we have a question. And that question is, do you identify yourself as a man? That means you can believe whatever you want to be. And there's beliefs that serves us and there's beliefs that doesn't serve us. Okay? So whatever we attach I am with strong enough emotion is what we become. So wherever you say I am this, I am capable. Hello, Arthur. What is that I am statement that we are saying ourselves? That is what shapes our future. Because everyone can change, but everyone wants to change. And what it starts is with our beliefs and with our identity. So we are born with no beliefs, nothing. We learn them. So we are born with no beliefs and we just accept the life as it is. And our beliefs are shaped from our experiences, and they can be good and bad experiences. I'm actually looking down here on the screen because that's where I see everyone and that's where I see the chat as well. And actually, I need to look here in the camera. This is the first live ever. But those experiences can be good and bad. And if we experience bad experiences, what happens is we lower our standards. So, if, for example, I tried to apply for the job that I wanted and I didn't got it, so I lowered my standards. So, if I tried to get into the relationships, but it didn't work out, so I lowered my standards. So, I lower my standards in finances, in relationships, in opportunities in business. But that all comes down to one thing, and that is the beliefs that we have and the identity we have given to ourselves. Because, like I said, we are all born with no beliefs, but we learn them somewhere. And then along the way, we may go to a point of disappointment, and that disappointment may shape our new beliefs that actually leads to destructive pattern. And I'm going to share some stories of mine where I have actually learned that I cannot get anyone better than this. And I talk about relationships. So being in these relationships, I thought that's it. So what happens is, what would be my standard? What would I allow to happen? Anything, just to be in these relationships. Because if they're not going to work out, I'm left with nothing. because there was nothing else than just the relationships. And I remember how disappointed I was when one of my previous relationships didn't work out. And I thought there is no meaning of anything, because the meaning that I gave was, if I have relationships, then the life will be good. But reality is not that the relationships makes us good, but it's actually how we feel that makes us good. So we don't actually want relationships. We don't actually want money. We don't actually want car. We don't actually want all these things. What we want the feeling. So if we are in a relationship and that person gives us the feeling of being at peace, feeling being joyful, feeling being excited, that's the feeling. And if that would be someone else who's gonna give us the same emotions, then we would say, I want to be with that person. So it's not the person, is what feelings they give us. But no one creates the feelings except ourselves. I give an example. In the first in a first class, I had this like first love, and I was in love with this girl. And of course she would not know that I'm in love with her. I would be scared and shy to actually, approach her and to say anything. So what happened, I had a strong feeling of love, but she even wouldn't know it. So that means I can experience the feeling of love without the other person even being part of it. Okay, so where does the love grows? In us. But the love grows in us, and also that's where it dies, because of the meaning that we assign. Let me just do this one, switches. Okay. So if you want more in life, in relationships, in finances, it all starts with you. It all starts with you. And it all starts with you raising your standards. Because of the life disappointments, we lower the standards, and that's what we get. We get what we tolerate. Okay. So when we raise our standards, then, for example, in relationships, in my previous relationships, I would allow the person to take so much time, and we spend like 2 years waiting for the person to move to London, and she never moved, and basically the relationships went apart. But if a person is if the person wants to do something, they're doing it. If they don't want to do it, they don't. But if there's no clear cut line, there's no clear definition of, okay, so are we doing it or no? Because of my lack of knowledge of who I am and what I'm about, and actually having it in these relationships and in this gal, is allowing her to walk over the price. And later on, it doesn't mean that the relationships actually worked. It actually didn't. But it's best to know it sooner than later. But because of my lack of confidence, I tried to get the approval and acceptance from the other person, because I didn't know who I am. That's why. And when we know who we are, what we're about, and where we're heading to, that's something attractive. And that is what attracts people. And then no longer we are needy. That means we are giving from a place of emptiness to get, but we're giving from a place of, this is who I am, and I can share it with other people. And that's a place where I want you guys to be. And that's a place where actually the true life fulfillment is. But it all starts with showing up. And how you show up here today in this men's group, how you show up at your work, how you show up in relationships is what you're going to get out of it. And my question is this: how are you showing up? How are you showing up? And I'm going to say, like, are you physically present, mentally, emotionally? Like, are you there? Or you kind of distanced and maybe have the walls? Like, we had this men's group, a conversation with Alex, and Alex said, you know what, like, I have these walls and I am not letting the person close in. I'm not being present. I'm being distant because of those past experiences, of the fears, and not knowing who we are. But if we know who we truly are, and we know that we as a man, we are actually meant for challenge. because challenges actually grow the masculine energy, and the praise and acceptance actually grows the feminine energy. So just think about it. A while ago, we would be hunting and gathering, and we were gonna go like, oh, I catch that lion, I catch that, fish, I got the food. And that's what the guys do. The guys always, when you were kids, my story, I was a small kid, and I said to my friend, oh, my father is earning this amount of money. And he said, oh, my father is earning that amount of money. And I said, no, but my father is earning this much. And he said, no, but my father is earning even more. Okay, that is masculine energy. It's not that you are trying to be bigger than life, but it's just naturally who you are. Because men are always playing up, but women, listen to that, women are always playing down. You're beautiful. Oh, no, 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 you're beautiful. Oh, no, it's fine. No, you're. Okay. So you see the difference between the masculine and feminine energy, and the guys need to have the challenge because through the challenges you grow. Through the challenges you become who you are meant to be. And the girls may try to talk you out of it, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad advice. It may be bad advice for them actually to do what you are called to do, but it's bad advice for you. And I'm gonna explain a little bit later. So participating 100% and taking on the challenges, being physically, mentally available, present, showing up, that is actually what we are called to do. Because if you ask to a girl and you say, will we do this and that, where we're going to go hiking or we'll go to this travel, she said, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel on that day. But that's not you. You see, that's where we are built a little bit different. Okay. Going all in. Guys are more like crazy risk taking. So the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So people ask about luck. Like, how do you get lucky? Like, you get lucky when you take more risk. The opportunity is there when you take the risk, but you can also fail. But what the girls were gonna say, oh, let's not do it. Oh, it's risky because they want to play safe. But that's their mission because their mission is to protect, is to care. And what they say is good for another girl, and it may be good for your kids, but it's not good for you as a man. You need to have a different advice. And I really like this story. Like one pastor was sharing this, and it's um, think about going underwater swimming, and you have these balloons on your back, and you pump it full with the air, and then you go and swim between the fishes. And you're looking at your watch, you're running out of air, and the fishes are swimming around, and then you ask to the fishes like, what should I do? I'm running out of oxygen. And the fishes are telling you, well, just breathe the water. My question is this: if you're going to breathe the water, what's going to happen to you? You probably are going to die. You need oxygen. But was it a bad advice? Did the fishes actually wanted something bad to you? No, they gave good advice, but that advice was suitable and good for them, not for you. And my question is this: who you really are. And when you know who you really are, you actually need to know that you need to go up, fill up the tank, and then go underwater again. And the wrong advice is the worst advice that can be. And it doesn't mean it's a bad, it just means who it is meant for. And that's the difference. That's what I'm trying to explain here. So, no excuses and no blame game. I used to blame the circumstances, I used to blame the people, I used to blame everything until I realized it's actually in me, and it's actually me who needs to take the responsibility. And that is part of who you are as a man. Although as we wouldn't like to do it or accept it, see the thing is that is the next step in life because the responsibility is actually the life meaning. Because when we are as a kids we play, and there is no responsibility. When we grow as an adult, maybe the teacher is responsible or the parents is responsible. But when we grow up as the parent or maybe as the director, then all of the people in the team or in our family, now we need to take responsibility for them. So you see, the natural progress is their responsibility. And committing to breakthrough. Committing to breakthrough means simply that it's not only that I want to get better and I want to change, but I'm actually willing to do that. How many people know what's good for them, but they don't do it? And that requires commitment. So, trusting the process is when we start something new, we always start bad. We always start as a beginners. When we start cycling, when we go to the gym, when we start our first business, our first idea, when we start our first YouTube live. This is the first YouTube live. Okay. You may think something is not working, something is not good. I don't know how it will gonna turn up at the end. Will I be able to have the record? I don't know. I am just trying and trusting the process that if I keep going, I'll be learning along the way and I'm gonna be improving because I'm committed to the growth. And because that is the next level. And that is our choice. So and in this group, in this men's group, I want to have that supportive and respectful environment. So that's why also for you guys, when you share something in the chat, just encourage each other, support each other. And maybe this video is watching few people, but who knows how many people are going to watch the replay? Who knows how many people later on we're going to check it out? But what I'm trying to say is we need to have that safe place as a man where we can open up and where we can build and encourage each other. Because when we go out in this life, at work, people are looking up to us. In relationships, people are looking up to us. And we have to be there. We have to provide. We have to be that rock. We have to be that secure place emotionally, physically, and financially. And it's a hard thing to do. And the question is this, who will gonna help you? And that's other men just like you who have went through it. And that's why we do this community. That's my reason why I started, because I needed this so much myself. And the reality is this, your mission and your purpose is always connected to your pain. And I'm doing this men's group because it is connected to my pain, and I so much needed this because I haven't seen it in my life. I haven't had this support. And the seventh thing that is needed for you to make any progress and change is to be coachable. Because let me tell you this, if you know everything, then what's the point of being here in this group? Why don't you run a group and share this with other people? Okay, if you know everything, no one will talk to you. If you know everything, no one will talk to you. Why? Because you know it already. If you know everything, you cannot learn anything new. But if you feel like that there is something more in life and you just don't understand how to get there, then acknowledging that I don't know everything, being coachable and being there, present, open to the feedback, to the suggestions and different opinions is actually where you're going to see those changes. Because doing the same thing all over again will only get you to where you are. And that means you have to drop the defense, embrace the learning, and say yes to growth. And focus on solution, not the problem. Because I remember when I was going through the heartbreak, and I would just like to explain everyone how bad I feel and what happened and what did she do and how did it go. And yet there is a place for that because we have to process it. We have to try to figure out and find the answers. But sometimes there is no answers. And then if we just focus on the problem, how they treat me, what did they do, what didn't work out, we miss the solution. We miss we miss it. And now, because life has treated you in a certain way and something didn't go the way you wanted, now my question to you is this: because bad things exist in this world, should we give up on the good things? And that's why so many men are settling for connections, because they are scared of love. Because if there is love, then there should be also an opportunity for someone to hate you. And if you understand that this is just the process, and accepting that that's how it is, then it's no longer a problem. It just, this is what it is. And when you understand that that's just a natural element of life, someone hates you, someone loves you, then if that happens, you just don't start like going all over the place. You go like, okay, fine, this is what's happening, this is normal. And that is the next level of responsibility. That's the next level of you as a man. Because I'll give you an example. For example, Donald Trump, he got shot. Okay, so that means clearly some people don't like him. Does that stop him of doing what he wants to do? No. Does he know what he needs to do? Yes. Does he do what he needs to do? Yes. Despite what other people say. And I mean, like, just think about that. If you would truly and honestly do what you want, and my question is that, what actually is stopping you? And is it other people's opinions and judgment and fear of rejection? But that's why I talk about responsibilities. And so what is the man's purpose? So what's the man's purpose? You may ask. Identity comes from who we follow. Our identity comes from who we follow. And if a man is raised, if a woman is raising a son, she is raising a nice guy. And there's nothing bad in being the nice guy, but that's not how you win in life. Because being nice doesn't get you good results. Being nice gets you poor results. Because if a woman is authority or a purpose in man's life, authority or a purpose. Purpose means, if I will have the girl, then I will be complete. If I will have the girl, then my life would be good. An authority that this is who knows what to do. See, the thing is, then men become the nice guys. Because what women were going to teach guys is how to please them. And all that we're going to learn is to please women. But women don't want to be pleased. They want to have the security, they want to have the courage, and they want to have someone who can take care of them. And that means you are able to also take the risk. And in the uncertain situation, you take the lead. And in uncertain situation, you take the lead and you say, okay, this is what we're going to do, without knowing all the facts, without not having all figured out. Because someone has to step out, someone has to take the lead. And my question is this: just as in marathon, just as in any other game, why don't you be that first person? Because many of us, we want the other people do it, and then we're going to do with them, and then kind of, it will just going to be, we're going to be doing it together. But sometimes it's, you need to be the first so other people can follow. And that's what I truly believe, that we as men are called to be, as a true leader. And a true leader means, it's not, I haven't figured everything out, but I'm going to do this, and whatever it will going to be, I'm going to face it, and I know that I'll be able to overcome it. And that is actually communicating confidence. Yeah. So how do we know who we are? How do we know who we are? When, how we can tell that we know who we really are as a man? It's when we have clear boundaries. Because when you know who you are, what you're about, you also know who you're not, and what you will not gonna tolerate. And That is the biggest stumbling block for most of the guys. Is like you get what you tolerate. But why do you tolerate it? Like, why do you tolerate these relationships? Or why do you tolerate this behavior at work? Why do you tolerate it? Why do you tolerate yourself in this area? And maybe that is, overeating. Maybe that is, scrolling too much. Maybe that is actually, drinking, taking drugs all the time. Why do you tolerate it? Yes, when we are alone, we face our true identity. Yes, yeah, yeah, Arthur. Yeah. And my question is this: what are the things that you are tolerating in your life? What are the things that you are tolerating in your life? Because when you know who you really are, you no longer tolerate, but you set clear boundaries. And when you set clear boundaries, there is certainty. And that's what you need. So you need to stand for yourself. And like I started this and I said that girls don't respect a man who doesn't respect himself. And if we talk in this concept, then you have to start to respect yourself and start doing what you say. And that's how you learn it. So starting with small challenges, picking up something and just sticking with it because you said that you're going to do it. And maybe it's a week challenge, maybe it's a month challenge, maybe it's a year challenge. And I'm actually doing a 1 year challenge now. I have done them in past. I have done push-up challenges for 365 days, 400-day challenges, and 90-day challenges. But maybe how about starting 1 week, no alcohol, maybe no cigarettes, no drugs, maybe something. You save money, you save time, no hangover. I am not drinking for 6 months now, something like that, maybe plus minus. uh, Feeling good 100%. Yeah. Maybe that can be a challenge. Okay. And then when you get into the place, you can now start asking yourself question: what does really give me power? And does this activity gives me strength or makes me weaker? Okay. And like having these conversations that we have now here, looking into ourselves, it is very uncomfortable, and men usually say, I don't do emotions. I don't do emotions. And you're gonna see most of the times girls are gonna work on themselves rather than guys, but guys are gonna still stay stuck somewhere and be emotionally unavailable. And that's why also one of the biggest breaking points in relationships is when when the guys is emotionally unavailable. So there's two things why the relationships break up. The girls, like the guys, usually leave because of sexual side. They want more sex and they find it somewhere else. And the girls usually find it in emotional disconnect. But my question is this: if we cannot connect to ourselves and we don't know who we are ourselves, then all that we are left with is avoidance. Hey, Carlos, vamos. Yeah. So my question is, who am I? Who am I? And that's the biggest question that you can ever answer. It may even be the hardest question that you ever have, but I'm gonna say, who am I is the question that we want to find the answer to. And the strongest force in human personality is the need to stay consistent with who we define ourselves. But my question is, who do you define yourself? The strongest force in human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. I repeated it once again, just so you know how important it is. Because when we repeat something twice, we emphasize how important it is. Not our goals, but it is our identity. So you're not led by your goals, you're led by your identity. And whatever you say you want, will not going to become a reality until it will become part of you. And when I say part of you, some will say, look, this is who I am, and I need to have the biceps because I am the strong guy. and they will always find a way how to train. They will always find a way how to stay in shape. But if I were gonna, for example, say I'm not good enough or I'm not good in communication, okay, I will always find a way how to avoid talking. I'll always find a way how to avoid conversations. I'll always find a way how to avoid any responsibilities because I say I'm not good enough. And guess what? I'm going to be who I say I am with enough intention and emotion. But if I say I can do all things that I put my mind to, you see, there is different level of confidence. And all of a sudden, I start doing it. All of a sudden, I find a way. So that's why I say we are not led by our goals, but we are led by our identity. And our identity is who we say we are with enough intention and emotion. So, what you think about yourself really matters. And what you say to yourself matters. So, that is what I wanted to challenge you and ask yourself what is actually that you say to yourself, who you are? And when I will ask a question, who you are, you probably may say, well, I am a director, I am a builder, I am a taxi driver, I am an accountant. No, this is your profession. I'm not asking what's your profession, I'm actually asking who you are. Regardless whether you are a carpenter or a waiter, you are the same person, your personality. Okay. So once you know who you are, and I give you some an example. For example, I am a leader. So when I was younger, I would lead people into trouble, and it doesn't matter that I was back home in Latvia and speaking Latvian language. Now I come to England, and in England in English, and I lead my own company. Okay, so it doesn't really matter whether I'm young or old, whether in one language or another language, whether you pay or don't. This is what I naturally do, and I say I am a leader. This is who I am. Therefore, for me to do this men's group comes natural. But if I would say, oh, I'm not good at leading, look, I never learned it anywhere. I never learned it anywhere. But it just felt for me naturally. And I started to do it more and more until I defined it and I said, yes, this is who I am. And then I committed to it. And that's why we have these men's groups. Yeah. So the two things that were going to break a man's life, two things, two things that were going to break men's life. The wrong woman. Oh, we have the balloons. So two things that were going to break a man's life is the wrong woman and not having the brotherhood, not having male role model in life. Why? Because who we follow is who we become. Who we follow is who we become. So, just an exercise. Here, I wanted to ask you some questions. And just think to yourself, just think to yourself, how have I been, how have I been until now? Now, how have you been until now? Moving well, moving forward, going along, avoiding, struggling, confused. What phrases or labels do I use to describe myself? I'm not good enough. I'm gonna be alone. I will never gonna find any better woman than this. I'm broken. I'm hurt. What is the labels? What beliefs have shaped those labels? What beliefs? What do we believe? And those beliefs can be that in London, because I live in London there is no girls. In London there is no opportunities. In London there is that there's high expenses. Some pop-up window. Okay. And now if you think in this way, guess where we're gonna go? We're gonna go in such way in life that there is no opportunities. And is that actually empowering belief? Does that give us joy and opportunities? Okay. And then where did those beliefs came from? And usually they come from, like I said, we all are born with no beliefs, from some past experiences. And what are those past experiences? And like I said, when we start something to do, we show up. At the beginning, we're not good at it. And maybe that was just the first trial. And you gain that experience and then you label it as it is not working, when actually it was working, but you just needed to try once again, twice again, three times again, four times again. You only tried once. Okay. So, what has this identity helped me to achieve? This identity, this identity that, you know, I never can finish the tasks. I'm no good with people. So, in a bad way, what has this helped me to achieve? Stayed single, stayed alone, no moving forward, losing time. And I just want you to experience it, because once you experience it, once you feel it, you can heal it. And that's why we do this exercise. And where has this held me back? Where has this held me back? In my finances, in my relationships? Where has this held me back? And now we'll focus on the positives. And now I wanted you to do different. Who would I be if I trusted myself fully? Who would I be? And just think about it. Who would you be if you trusted yourself fully? No longer waited for approval or acceptance, but you would know who you really are, and you would actually be in your element, regardless of what other people say. So if you would trust yourself fully, yeah, if you trust yourself fully, who would you be? Who would you be? A business owner, a father, okay, a champion, gold medal winner? Who would you be? House owner? Who would you be? Okay. And now question is, who am I really? Who am I really? And really, I'm a man. I'm a brother. I'm a leader. And these things doesn't change whether I am in one country or another country. This is who I am. And then the question is, how should I show up? So what identity would bring out my best? What would be the identity that you need to shift? Because remember, this is our standards that creates our identity. What truth do I want to define myself? And what truth I can, I will, I must. And when it's a must, we do. So that's your new ID card. So I am, and you fill the blanks, you finish it. I am, and you finish it. So as we come to an end of this session, so I do believe when a man gets better, everyone wins. And that's why we do it. Because people are looking up to you. They are looking up for support and guidance. And it is up to you to help yourself and help them. That's why we have these men's groups. But most of the times, we as guys, we are looking for those externally. And then we show up in the wrong way and we attract the wrong relationships because we show up needy. But we need to fill up our own cup first so we can give it to others. So when we actually, like in airplane, when we put the mask on ourselves, then we can start helping other people. And that's the most important thing. The most important thing is to give from the fullness of your heart. But then you have to identify who you are, what you're about, where you're heading to. And as we said, standards, so as I said before, standards aren't what you say they are, but they are what you do consistently. So standards are not what you say. So standards aren't what you say they are what you do consistently. So now that you know who you are, now what you need to do, you need to make these standards your daily practices. So now that you know who you are, make it a daily habit and connect to it. Connect to it daily. Okay? Your results is just a reflection of what you allow. So if you raise the bar and don't allow yourself, and I'm not talking about other people, and if you raise the bar and if you're going to focus on what you allow in your life, what voices you allow to speak in your life, Do they serve you? Do they help you? Do they build you up? Or they discourage you? Or try to talk you out, like my grandma? And she's doing it from the full heart because she loves me, but it's the wrong advice because she's 80, 90 years old. And for her, that would be bad, but it's not for me. I still have to go and smash and crash in this life, and I have to fail and I have to win and I have to learn. And this is what I'm actually here to encourage because the more you take risk, the more lucky you are. Luck is simply following those who take risk, not sitting on a couch and being comfortable. So, therefore, identify who you really are and then make it a habit to do this and to be a daily practice. So, I leave you with this, guys. Peace out and see you in the next one. Thank you.